Durham, are there any mornings you wake up and wonder, we have a good roster, why are we 1-7? Does that question ever come into your mind?
Yeah, I think so. I think you hit it on the head. I think in the last, 4 years that I've been here, this is top to bottom, one of the more talented rosters we've had. And obviously things haven't, to this point in the season, turned out as we thought, but that's football. That's how this happens in the NFL. Most games are one score games, 1 to 2 score games, and things haven't been going our way. But obviously, with 9 games remaining, hopefully we'll be able to turn the corner.
In the time that you've been here, do you really see the difference of it's that one play or that 3 plays that determine outcomes of games?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you gain experience in this league, I think just anyone would tell you, you quickly learn that all these games are 1-score games. So the outcome of these games are coming down to 1 play here, 2 plays here. Every now and then there's a 3-score game or something like that, but that's a rarity in this league. So as you get older, you realize that any play could be the defining play in the game, whether it's in the first quarter or the last play of the game. So,
Wanted to ask you about your buddy Mike, the season that he's having. You too, because
Yeah.
I always harp on the guys who are playing with injury risk and final year of their deals and
Sure.
the pressure that comes with it. How has Mike handled all of this pressure that he's one of the top players on this team, and
Yeah.
yet he's not taken care of?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's the same guy every day. Obviously, I spend a lot of time with him. Have spent a lot of time with him in the last 4 years off the field, as well as obviously on the field. But he's the same guy off the field that he has been the last 3 years. That's just kind of his personality. He's kind of as you guys have kind of seen talking to him, he's a pretty easy, go-lucky type of guy. So that hasn't changed, and we all approach it, whether you're in the first year of your contract or the last year in your contract, as this is our job, and we'll continue to do it as long as we are on contract. So that's how it is, and he's a guy that just kind of stays steady regardless of the circumstances.
How much more difficult is it to deal with the setbacks that inevitably occur in a game when you're going through a season like right now and you have a bad record as opposed to last year when, let's say, the record was
Yeah, I mean, I think that's when you hear guys refer to turning the corner or getting over the hump, things like that. That's kind of what they're talking about, because when you start to win games, when something does go wrong in a game, you're like, we've been here before, we've overcome it, we've won the game. So that starts with one. If you can get one under your belt, one win in a circumstance like that, the next time that adversity comes up, the next time something goes wrong in a game, people aren't like, here we go again. They're like, we've done this, we've been through this, and we've overcome it, we've won the game. So a lot of times when you hear people talk about, getting over the hump, turning the corner, it has to do with getting that first one, because then the confidence comes when things do go wrong.
Have you seen any examples this year of maybe some, I don't want to say like shoulders dropping, but like of a more pronounced reaction to adversity than maybe otherwise?
I don't think so. I haven't seen any of that. I'm more so talking about when you have the experience of turning it around, then guys are like, in their head, there's almost an elevated level of confidence. I don't see guys putting their shoulders down and like, wow, like, dang. But I think there is a difference when you've been through it before, you've won a game in that type of circumstance. The confidence level goes from, we're still here to, we've done this, we're fine, we're going to win the game. So,
In terms of the mechanics of how offensive meetings have gone this year, how is it different with 2 offensive coordinators than with Chan? Like, would last year, would Chan just on his own address the group at times? This year, do you have both George and Eric standing in front of the group ever together jointly?
I mean, realistically, I know how it sounds from the outside. 2 offensive coordinators. Maybe there's confusion there. There's really not. Over the last 3 years, obviously, we've had singular coordinators with the offense, but I think they've done a good job this year of having their roles. So, one person talks about this, one person talks about this. So there's never really that confusion that it might sound like when you hear co-coordinators or something like that. There's been emphasis on, I think, fulfilling each role, and they have pronounced roles, and that's been pretty steady for us. So when you have that type of consistency, you don't really notice any differences, really.
And are George and Eric ever standing at a podium at the same time talking to the group?
Never at the same time. I mean, there are times within a meeting where, George will talk about something, he'll sit down. Coach E will talk about something. But like I said, they've been pretty consistent about how they've done it throughout the year. So it hasn't been any type of issue for us.
Obviously, this week we've got Tua going through distraction gate, Watson gate, whatever you want to call it. Now the hand injury. Where has his focus? What have you seen from him in terms of his focus?
Yeah, I mean, kind of as I talked about Mike a second ago, Tua does have the ability to just kind of put blinders on. I feel like, which not everyone does in this league, but especially in a situation that he's been in, with outside rumors and things like that, people talking on the outside. It's been cool to see, and I've gained some respect for him just because of how he's handled the situation. He hasn't changed at all. He's been the same guy day in and day out, regardless of what's being said, injury, whatever. So I've gained some respect for him this year just of, how he's handled himself being such a young guy in his second year.
Have we asked you about your situation? Have you got any sense about the club, coming to you and setting you up for next year or anything?
I mean, I personally haven't, talked to anyone about that, but I mean, there's so much to focus on this time of year. It's out of my mind because when you're in the middle of the year, especially when things aren't going, how we anticipated them going, there's so many things to focus on, so many things to, improve on that kind of, slips my mind a lot of the time. But, how anyone else would answer the question, that'll all get worked out eventually, one way or the other. And, you control this time of year.